Shalom, giving no praise, as honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to my bishops, apostles, and elders of Great Millstone who are well. Shalom, salutation to the brothers out there, pushing the word sincerity and truth. And shalom to your elect, which consists of the men, women, and children that have the true, sincere faith. Also to the speckled birds, the ones that do not look like your average Negro, Latino, Native American, but the ones that have a spiritual ear to hear, the ones that's looking to earn their wings of salvation, flee out of temptation, how the brother of mine, out of the DC church. And just something I was meditating on just happened through the spirit. The spirit hopped on the elder from New York that does the shorts, the light-skinned brother, Shalom, to bring the scripture out. And I'm going to start at the top. The point is in the 5th verse. This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 19, verse 1. A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contenteth small things shall fall by little and little. Wine and women make men of understanding to fall. So it's not just one, it says men, plural. And he that cleaveth to harlots will become impudent. Basically a bum, Verse 5, it says, whoso taketh pleasure in wickedness shall be condemned, but he that resisteth pleasure crowneth his life. And that's super important to understand that women, alcohol and women are one of the two dangerous combinations that you could put together. If you're on a slippery slope, it's best to leave them things alone until you get back on track. Before the Lord does it, then now you have to do it. Or if you don't do it, then, utter deletion. Look what happened to Jonah, man. A lot of times, that's why, it's crazy, right? Because I thought about this the other day. It says the sin of witchcraft, disobedience is the sin of witchcraft, and it's like basically you're gonna, and it's crazy when I looked it up on ChatGPT. It's basically talked about how, what do I remember? Like basically, some things turn in, you had desire, choices, habits, character, consequences, went into that. So, and then it talked about basically becoming numb to some things, so a lot of the times, you get around certain people or certain environments, you kind of like let certain things down, and like your guard down versus like keeping it up to stay, mentally, spiritually sharp. You basically will think it's okay to be, you won't, it's slowly but surely with gradualism, like letting those demons get closer to you. Because if the demon came to you like, yelling and screaming and shit, of course you're going to say no to that and block it and, do what is necessary to stay spiritual. So we understand that them demons, they come in with gradualism, taking weeks to get at you, to make sure to, make sure to basically hit the target, and that's just something that we got to deal with because we're in the flesh. But we understand that, let me get this real quick. This is Wisdom of Solomon 6. It's like as soon as we do the video, all this noise comes out of nowhere, right? So, this is Wisdom of Solomon 6 verse 17 I'm gonna start at 14. I'm gonna start at 13. She preserveth them that desire her, in making herself first known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his doors. And that's the beautiful thing, the Lord is always going to give you it says it's going to give you a choice. You just got to choose the right one. The more you choose the right one, the better your discipline will be. Whoso should be at the door. Yeah, and a lot of the times you already got the answer. You just got to learn to let go, relax, and release. And that's what's easier said than done because our minds are being, they're plagued. This flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. So just thug it out. Go through it. Complete your prison sentence. And do it with joy, man. Show the Lord what you're really made of. To think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorably worthy of her. Oh yeah, I said favorably unto them that. My bad. Let me read it again. It says, "For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showing herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought." That's beautiful, because that's a build up. A lot of these scriptures is to help with your mental toughness. To constantly. That's why it's beautiful, man. Call hello, how about Shemal. I gotta get the Hebrew word for rehearse. Cause these things are rehearsal. Like it says, because when you think about muscle memory and things of that nature, like how you probably learned how to ride a bike when you was like whatever age, and then you spun some time off the bike for a long period of time, but within a minute or two of you riding the bike, you start to remember all the things that you learned. So that's why through our repetition and our rehearsal of going over these scriptures, we become sharper and sharper in ourselves, sharper in others. Each one teach one, so we could grieve the enemy, because he's constantly wearing us down through everything, man. You name it, he got all corners blocked. So that's why through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, we got the Rakah Kodash, which guides us and leads us to the path of righteousness, which we're going to need in these end times. If you don't have it, you're just going to be SOL. You're basically out of luck. By so many words. Let me continue on. It says, yeah, because we think about those thoughts, man. Whew. Sometimes, if you don't catch yourself, you start reading, them thoughts go down the path like, wow, man, I haven't thought about that in a while. Like, I'm over that, but Satan, you got to put a leash on Satan. Arkashatan. That's not funny, Salakia. Because, shit, man, some jakes be going through it, especially when you're sickly. Like I said, there's so many things you start thinking about. Like I'm over that. I don't even know why that even came like this. So you could just easily throw that out. Verse 18 it says, "And love is keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her." I skipped the whole verse. It says, "For," let me read it again. It says, "For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showing herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love." So if you truly love yourself, you'll have care for your meats, care for your time, care for how you spend your money. You have care overall, because these bodies technically are rentals of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So us for to be representators, ambassadors, things of that nature. We ought to take care of these things and come skillful in the spirit of power Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, like it says in Sirach in the prologue. All right, it says, I thought there was a little more. It says, "And love is keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption." Call her lawyer, however. I didn't know I was gonna say that. That's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Wow, I'm not trying to open. Let me just highlight that real quick, because that is beautiful. It says, "And love is keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption." Hey, so if you don't want to be corrupted, you just gotta follow them laws, baby. Which is easier said than done, because even these clothes are messed up and defiled. Wow, come on, man. I gotta have one here. Enough of that. It's a lot, kid. But yeah, just getting back to the video. Oh yeah, we're gonna bring out that real quick, because we are always looking to get more discipline. We understand that our understanding is minimum. Like when I say that, it's because Yahweh's thoughts are not our thoughts, right? He has it set up to where our logic is not always going to understand the way he does things. So we got to sit back and relax and just accept for what things are. Let me read this part. It says verse 19, Sirach, or Wisdom of Solomon 19, Salakia 6 and 19. Damn. And incorruption maketh us near unto gods. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. I was looking for that. The desire of wisdom bringeth forth to a kingdom. And a lot of times, man, the Lord requires a lot of us. So that's why we go through a lot of trials and tribulations to constantly so it can build up our kingship. Be better leaders, be better overall, servants of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, let me just grab this, try to hasten this up real quick. This is Proverbs 21. I'm going to start at 20. It says, there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up, Treasure is to be desired and to be held on to, Cast not your pearls before swine, it talks about. A lot of, that's a riotous liver, and that's a spirit of Bacchus and was it Epicurean versus the what's the opposite of Epicurean? Stoic. I know it's another word though. What's the opposite of an Epicurean? Yeah, Stoic. Yeah, what's the opposite? The opposite of Epicurean, which describes someone devoted in luxury. Oh, okay. Well, this is I guess this is the Epicurean definition.
Epicurean.
The opposite of Epicurean, which describes someone devoted to luxury, fine food, and sensual pleasure. Let me see what this. Give me 1 second. I know, man. We'll be thinking this. We don't be meaning to do these things, but we just gotta figure everything out.
Ascetic.
I don't know what the hell. I never heard that. It says, meaning someone who practices severe self-discipline and abstains from physical pleasure. You don't like. Okay, yeah, that's why it was beautiful that we're gonna bring out this deeper portion of Sirach and ChatGPT, because it's not saying you can't indulge in pleasure. It's just saying, like, basically don't be too infatuated to where you become a slave. Like there's a saying that says don't let the drink you. Basically don't let it consume you. That's what happens a lot of times in this world, that you get a little bit of pleasure and you just let Rover take over. Like a case in point, these women with OF. OF. OnlyFans. I don't, man, whatever. They just see that and now they just got the clout and they just think it's all about the money. Never, and it's crazy, right? We never glorify money because money comes and goes. It's all about character. Yo, that's crazy. Because anybody, it's easy to glorify money because you got a lot of it. But when you don't have it, then who are you? That's why, when you don't have it, people see you when you have it, you're the same person when you don't have it. That says a lot versus like, oh, you need money to feel like that? Nah, man. That's why we are rich. In the spirit of power, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. But just to get the deeper, I didn't read that part. So Proverbs 21, verse 21, it says, he that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness, and honor. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for honor in these end times so we could be increased. A lot of these dudes, they're just out here for own vainglory, self-clout, and views, And they could try to deny that they're not there for the views and they're trying to edify. Like, they only get that from us, man, to make it seem more genuine. All right, I'm gonna try to speed. We'll just get to some points. This is it says I put in ChatGPT a deeper understanding of Ecclesiasticus 19:5. It says Ecclesiasticus Sirach 19:5 is a strickening warning about moral danger and use of pleasure as a substitute for wisdom. In many translations, the verse reads roughly, whosoever take pleasure in wickedness will be condemned, but whoso resisteth pleasure crowns his life. What is Sirach 19:5 really saying? The key is Sirach is not condemning pleasure itself. The issue is disorder pleasure. Pleasure that draws a person towards sin. And 1 second. It says pleasure that draws a person towards sin and gradually weakens his ability to resist it. So that's why I'm not sure if I stated it, but like the more you get at saying no to things, the better your discipline becomes. And saying yes to the right things. I told myself, I keep going over these things that one of them was like getting up on time. I gotta go to bed early, and the more I rehearse these things in my mind, the better I get at it. Going back, it says the verse contrasts two paths. Takes pleasure in wickedness. The danger begins not morally with committing sin, but with learning to enjoy what is wrong. When something sinful becomes emotional attractive, the conscience can slowly become less sensitive to it. So being in certain environments that you're not supposed to be in, you don't want to get too comfortable with seeing adultery, right? That's a disgusting look. That's a disgusting, something that not you don't want to see, something that you frown upon. What I read, it says will be condemned. Sirach is emphasizing moral responsibility, deliberately cultivating affection for evil is more serious than simply experiencing temptation. Resists pleasures. This is about self-mastery. A person may experience desire without obeying it. Virtue does not mean having no appetite. It means that appetite does not become one's mastery. Don't let the drink you. It says crowns his life. The image of a crown suggests that self-control is not merely deprivation. Resisting a destructive desire produces a kind of victory, dignity, and freedom. Sounds baking me. The deeper spiritual principle. Sirach is getting at some very, please forgive me. Sirach is getting at something very psychologically profound. What we repeatedly enjoy, we eventually begin to love. What we love, we tend to choose. What we repeatedly choose can shape in who we become. So the battle against sin often begins before the sinful action. It begins with what we permit ourselves to delight in. For example, someone might intentionally say, "I know this isn't good." Or initially, Salakia. For example, someone might initially say, "I know this isn't good, but I enjoy it." Sirach asks us to go one level deeper. Why am I allowing myself to become attached to something I know is damaging my relationship with God? That is why this verse pairs slightly. Oh man, that's my bad. People there. Start it over. It says, "This is why the verse pairs pleasure and resistance. The question isn't simply what I am allowing to do, but what kind of person am I becoming through what I repeatedly choose." That's beautiful. Connection with surrounding passages. Sirach 19 is largely considered with Sirach 19 is largely concerned with self-control, speech, temperance, and wisdom. Earlier, the chapter warns about things such as drunkenness, sexual immorality, because they can control a person. Later, Sirach moves towards the importance of wisdom and understanding. There is, therefore, a progression: desire, choice, habit, character, consequences. Sirach wisdom is that we shouldn't wait until a destructive habit has become deeply established before resisting it, you know? So that's why a lot of the times we gotta have that foresight, that forejudgment, that prejudgment, that's already just saying no to it before this shit starts to turn into something fucking else. So like from my language, things getting hot. Said established. Oh my goodness. Yeah, go. A particular important distinguish. There is a difference between temptation and consent. Yeah, but that's pretty much it, man. I didn't want to make this thing too long, man. But we don't want to become something that we're not, that we don't want to become, because we see this like we're super close to the end. Like even if we're here, what is it, 2027? Even if we're here next 2027, it got to be some type of, Lord's will. We pray for it. Some type of stuff that's going on to where society is not going to be moving as fast as it is. You see it right now in Illinois that they ain't got no food or water, no electricity. I'm pretty sure that all of that stuff is just going to come. It's going to go all around America, eventually. So with that, I hope you were praised, edified, and motivated to seek the Lord 10 times more. I want to give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Kakwadash, Dabans, to my bishops, apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, salutations, brothers out there, pushing words, sincerity and truth, and shalom, see you later. Shalom.